Welcome to Fresh Music Flavor, the new sounds of gospel. I go by Alicia, aka Shashisha. Today we have a beautiful gospel artist. I will let her introduce herself. Who do we have in the house today?
Hello, my name is Sharyn. I'm a singer-songwriter from London. I make gospel R&B, and yeah, that's just briefly a bit about me.
So, guys, you have heard it. We have Sharyn in the house today, and she's here to stay with us. Right, Sharyn, just give us a little CV, a little bio about yourself, because I am sure our listeners have no idea. Who is Sharyn? Where is Sharyn from? What does she do? Can you give us a CV, a little bio?
Yeah, I can. I can give you my little LinkedIn. So I first came on the Christian music scene, you could say, in 2019 when I released my first single, Beautiful Saviour. And I released another track called Enough. And that same year, around April time, I actually was nominated for Premier Gospel Award for Best Newcomer, which was such an honor and a shock for me because at the time I'd only released two singles. But that just showed me that, I was trusting God and being on the right track, because outside of music at the time, I just graduated from studying biology for my undergraduate degree, so this was a very completely different world for me. I had never really stepped into the music industry at all, didn't know anything about it. I just believed that this is what I felt God wanted me to do, as He wanted me to tell my story, but also just, as we've all been commissioned to do as believers, Christians, to spread the gospel message. But I just wanted to do it through music. And by doing that, I then released my EP in May that year as well, called Beautiful Saviour. And from then, it's just been a whirlwind, really, the past 2.5 years, really, of just collaborating with amazing artists from in Nigeria and the UK. So many songs, and leading most recently to releasing my album In Full Bloom. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of what I've done. But like I said, outside of music, I thought I was going to be a biology or science teacher. That was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan. So this was a completely new direction for me, but I've been enjoying it, loving it so far. And I'm actually even studying music right now. I'm finishing my master's in music performance. Yeah, so by God's grace, by the end of the year, I'll be wearing a new cap and gown, to celebrate that.
Yeah. But you know what? I just want to know, why have you chosen gospel?
Yeah.
Tell me why gospel, because I'm sure something must have happened for you to be like, do you know what? I want to do gospel. Tell me.
Yeah, that's such a great question. Do you know what it is? Like, when I was 16, 17, I wanted to be the next Adele. I had really set it in my mind that if I was to ever do music, because I grew up in an environment where my mum really nurtured my musical skills and gifts. Like I grew up having singing lessons. I was involved in the choir, but the music that I listened to was very much pop music, very current, R&B. I was aware of what was happening in the charts. So when Adele came on the scene, I said, that's me. I want to write love songs, heartbreak ballads, all of those kind of songs, really. But I would say for me, what happened was more like my songwriting ability. I wasn't very good, if I'm honest. But one thing that I learned about when it comes to songwriting is that the best thing to do is to write from your experience. And because I'd never been in love at the time, I was, like I said, I was only 16, 17. What heartbreak have I really gone through apart from a crush in school or something? The truth of the matter is I'd not really gone through those things. But what I knew to be true was my experience with God and my experience with Jesus. And so that's how you could say I fell into doing gospel music, was because that's what I knew to be real and true to me. As I'm significantly older now, I've gone through those kind of relationship experiences, but I would say what has been consistent in my life is God. And so that's where I write from, is my experience with Him, the disappointments, the joy, the revelation. I like to also write from the Bible itself. And so that's how I fell into gospel music, is because that was my truth, really. And and I stuck with it.
Wow. So would you say that you cater for a wider range, or just strictly Christian?
Great question. All these questions, honestly. I feel like interviewers need to take note. What? You're coming with them? Because I've done a lot of these, and I'm like, yes, it's such a beautiful question.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I would say I believe that I cater to a wider audience because
Okay.
it's been so amazing. Because the reason why I would say that, and I say that so boldly, is actually people who have actually messaged me who said that they listen to my music are beyond those who are churched or who call themselves Christians. People from all different races, religions, backgrounds, even sexual orientations. People have come to me and said that they've been blessed by my music, regardless
Amen.
of them being Bible believing Christians, and that's the whole purpose of the Bible itself. It's not meant to only be for the saved. It's meant to be for those it's for the broken,
Yes.
And
yes.
so that's what I try to do with my music, and I pray that also comes out in my sound. The style that I've also chosen to deliver this gospel message is slightly unique. It's slightly, you could say, more mainstream. So it's not your typical worship culture, gospel culture, Sunday service music.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what I like? Is the fact that you've just said that you cater for a wider range, so anyone can pick up your music and say, do you know what, I'm listening to it regardless. Even though you're touching souls, but it's not just for Christian, it's for everyone. And that's what I believe musicians should do, like gospel singers should do, because you know what, sometimes we get gospel singers come through it and just say, do you know what, no, I'm just catering just strictly Christian. But we are trying to get the message out there. The message out there is to win souls.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing, which is really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think you know what it is it's all to do with what people would call markets as well, because with Christians, like I said, I mentioned Sunday services. There are particular styles and types of songs that we actually love to sing together as congregations, as the body, as the ecclesia, as the Bible calls us. There's particular genres that I feel like cater to that, and cater to Christians that encourage the body. When a member is not doing what as it should be. There are certain songs that will help better the body of Christ and shape the body of Christ, that will help shape and mend the bride. But what I believe that I'm trying to do is to reach those who are not yet part of the bride, who not yet have an understanding of who God is and who Christ is and what Christ came to do and what he died for. So yeah, that's my aim. That's, I would say, my purpose.
Right. Can I just ask you, in terms of your album, tell me why the title Full Bloom?
So
I want to know.
So why the title In Full Bloom? Essentially, I actually was going for a walk one day in lockdown, as don't know where, as usual, as everyone was. In other countries, I can assume you have a wide range and a wide audience. But in the UK, here we had something at the time called unlimited exercise. So I really grabbed my unlimited exercise by the horns and I went for my really long walks. But anyway, it was actually so amazing because during the period when we first went lockdown, I think end of March, all the way up until like June, July time, we really got to see the seasons change. And even though we see seasons change all the time, but this was like an everyday, I was walking the same route, seeing these kind of beautiful, they're called cherry blossom trees, like near my house. And I was really seeing, nature at its finest. I was really seeing these flowers become in full bloom. And I started to reflect on my life and the season that I'd been in, which is a season of growth and evolving as a woman and evolving as a Christian, as an individual. And the songs that at the time I was writing for this album, they really seem to fit in that narrative of becoming, of becoming whole, of becoming more like Christ. And I just wanted to reflect what I was seeing in these trees and in the flowers and the plants, was that we were becoming in full bloom. And everyone knows that plants, they also go through different seasons. They go through the harsh seasons, the winter seasons. And I know that myself, I'd gone through some really tough times. And, I'd gone through, like, even now I'm in the season of singleness and at this period of my life, and and walking through that and trying not to compare myself to other people. And I wanted to talk about all of these things. So yeah, that's where we get the title In Full Bloom.
Wow. I mean, guys, you've heard it, like through the season changing during the pandemic. This is where you got inspired from.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me a little bit about the UK scene, the UK gospel scene, because I've had so many people come through and say so many things, but I want to hear your version of how you're seeing the UK gospel scene.
Yeah.
In terms of support, in terms of music, in terms of connections. Tell me how you see the UK gospel scene.
Yeah, the UK gospel scene has evolved and changed so much. I think as an artist, I'll start there. It's been so amazing to see people rally around me and support me from the beginning. Like I said, I came in as a nobody. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I had mutual friends, but I didn't have any connections to any other artist or radio host or blogger or anything like that. I just came on the scene and emailed, the different platforms. And from day one, they have rallied around me and supported me. And that's been so amazing. I think people underestimate the power of technology, the power of communication. People expect people to come to them, but I'll be honest, like I reached out to a lot of people because I didn't know where to start. I did my research, I did my due diligence and my homework, and I said, where can I start? And by simply just sending those emails and reaching out, so many other people have followed. So it's been amazing seeing that support. Like I said, from an artist perspective, it's been amazing. But one thing I would say as well, there's so many artists who are also doing amazing things. I've got my friends Asha Elia. There's a guy called Askar who is an amazing kind of Afro swing R&B artist as well. Like Still Shady. I can list so many names of artists who are up and coming or who are big time, and they're really kind of championing on the scene, to the global, markets, like I was mentioning earlier. And however, I would say as a consumer as well, the UK is very amazing because we have so many different types of artists as well. We're not just boxed into one genre. It's not just gospel and what many people call the contemporary Christian, worship or music that is very kind of like guitar heavy, that gives you that soft rock kind of worship, Hillsong type vibes. Like we have such a big market. We've got R&B, we've got hip hop, we've got grime, we've got drill, we've actually got your praise and worship, we've got your gospel, we've got like R&B, neo soul. We've got so many pockets, and that's amazing. And I don't think that many different countries and markets can say that their country does that. But the reason, because like the difficult thing now, when you have all of these different pockets, I find that it can also feel very lonely because everyone's trying to do their own thing and doing something kind of slightly different. And because there's so many pockets, there's like, how can you kind of put all these people together and categorize them or support them all the same? Because in certain seasons, some things like we see trends are more popular than others. Some things have a bigger audience than others. However, we want people to stay true to their sound. So that's why in the UK scene it can get quite difficult, because then as well in these pockets you might not have the right financial backing or the right support, because people might not know much about what is gospel drill. People are like, what's this? We know about the grime and like what people have been doing all the years before, like the Governor Bees and Melvillers and like all of the guys before them, but they're like, what's this now drill that's coming through? People don't know how to receive that, and that can get really difficult because then you're starting something very new, and because people don't know how to deal with new, they might not support you the same way that they would support someone who was just doing typical gospel or praise and worship music.
But I want to ask you, in terms of the pandemic, I am sure there was so many things that had happened, and how have you managed to cope within the pandemic? Because it's been so hard with people losing jobs, people losing their loved ones. How have you been able to cope in the pandemic and also doing an album?
Yeah. Gosh, that's such a big question because the one and only answer is God. It sounds
Trust.
like such a cop out,
Hey.
easy answer, but it's only the sheer grace and mercy and love of God, honestly, because
Yeah.
this pandemic has been so difficult on all of us. Like, we've lost loved ones. I personally, myself, actually got COVID as well. And that was
Oh
an awful
no.
experience. And trying to record an album, vocals at the same time, that was tough, but I made it through. And that's surely
Amen.
because of the grace of God. And this is why I really know the actual power of the cross, firsthand, that has kept me and sustained me. Me and my mum, every day, we, especially since the pandemic, we're like, God, we thank you that your grace is sufficient for us. We thank you that you
Amen.
have continually provided for us, and people have lost jobs in this pandemic. Let's not forget, you know
Yeah.
there might be furlough or what, and all of those schemes and the grants, but especially artists, people have lost their livelihoods, their way of lives. They weren't able
Yes.
to tour, to perform, do kind of musical gigs and all these different things that they were doing before the pandemic. But God was faithful to me, and so his grace is what has kept me and sustained me every single day. I can't tell you, oh, it's by walking every day and waking up and doing exercise and, going for a run and reading these books and self-help books and meditating. All of those things have contributed, but what has kept me is God, and I'm going to leave it as that.
I think that's what's kept everyone,
Yeah,
because with his love and his mercy, like literally the stories that I've heard, the things that I have seen, and I'm just like,
listen,
if it's not God, then who is it?
I do not know.
And then right now we're going through another crisis. It's like,
Yeah.
Lord, what are you doing?
I feel like this past year's been one thing after another after another. Like,
Yeah,
if it's not the pandemic, then we're seeing, the injustice towards, like, black people and
that's
to
it.
different ethnic groups, and also in different regions and different countries, their government and states. There's always been something in these past 18 months. It's almost trauma after
Yeah,
trauma after trauma. But we look to God because he is the one that has the final say.
that's
Justice
it.
belongs to God. He is the final judge
Amen.
at the end of the day. As much as we rally
Amen.
around each other and we support each other and we speak on the things, and I think that is what is very important. And that's something I even talked about on the album, one of my songs, Mercy. I speak about council culture, because as
Mhm.
much as we can criticize or judge or point fingers at one another, at the end of the day, it's God who decides,
That's it.
who is for him and who is against him. He is the
Yeah,
one who really is the final, who has the final say on everything.
trust me. In terms of the the racist things that is going around at this present moment,
Listen,
how do you feel about that? Because listen, I'm speechless.
yeah,
Okay, the things I have seen, the things that
yeah,
I've heard,
yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah, I would say, racism in the UK, especially, I'll just give some also context to some of the, people who might be watching and might not be aware. We had the Euros 2021 football match and the final. The England team did amazingly, by the way. I didn't
of
think it was
course.
coming home, but in those moments, I thought it
Yeah,
could possibly come home. I'm not the biggest football fan, but that, honestly,
same.
that team has made me a huge football fan now,
Listen,
honestly. And obviously, our amazing three amazing football players, Sancho, was it
Saka,
Saka, and it wasn't
Sterling,
Sterling.
wasn't it? No,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't.
Sterling.
Rashford.
Rashford, that's it, Marcus Rashford.
Yay.
Yeah, they unfortunately missed the penalty goals, and as they were three black men, black people around the UK knew instantly what that would mean.
Of course.
That like with them missing those penalties, and unfortunately, therefore England not taking the trophy home or bringing the trophy home had dire consequences, which is that we knew that racism would be at an all-time high, and
Yes.
it's a shame that we all immediately, I believe, not only just black people, even brown people, Asian people,
Everyone.
everyone knew that this would cause a
It was
turn.
coming.
It would cause a turn, and that speaks volumes of how far we have to go as a nation, how far we have to come as a country, and our attitude
Hmm.
towards racism and discrimination. And I remember at work, we like a lot of people, a lot of businesses have really pushed inclusiveness and diversity and allyship,
Yeah.
standing with communities that are oppressed and discriminated against. But I said, this is not something that we train on. This is something that we must live by.
That's it.
This is a way of life. These experiences, unfortunately, they're not isolated instances. This was a way, that football match just highlighted how far as a country we have to go.
Mhm.
In the UK, it didn't need it, we don't need a man to die for us to know that there's racism. We just needed to miss one penalty, and
That's it.
just one penalty, and we saw how people turned. And I think these are conversations that we need to have in our community, so people understand that, in order for us to really fight racism and discrimination, we have to change the way that we see people. But we all know that the power of true change is God. He is the only one who can change the hearts of man. And this is also my plea for anybody who also may have also felt that like they have actually even displayed racist, actions or words towards other people, is that the only one who can change you is God. Speak to God, speak to your Father for him to change your heart and your attitude towards people, your mindset towards people. Because even within all of us, we do have, perceptions of people due to, isolated instances or things that we may have seen or even heard. We all have seen how stereotypes play out, in society. But it's God who can instill true change in us. And that is my prayer for us as a nation, is that we bring ourselves before God for him to do the works that need to be done within us, for us to see one another as brother and sister, as allies, as one, all, creed and color. We have all of these hymns and all of these national anthems for a reason, but we really have to also look at our own selves and our own lives and see, wow, how do I see and treat other people? Because we have to treat others how we want to be treated. We have to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. So it's been really heartbreaking, but for me, like whenever I see this, it also just causes me to search internally within my heart as well, and to see if someone, who is white and they are discriminated against me, I will still love them despite the harsh and horrible words that they may say or speak to me. It's just like, no, when I get home, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna bring you before God because you're hurting. There's no way you can say all of these horrible words to me. And no, it's just like, what, I need God in this moment myself for me, but also I'll pray to God for you as well, because obviously there's work to be done in your life if you feel that you can say such vulgar things towards me or towards these three amazing men who did amazing things for the country.
I mean, me, literally, I've been saying to myself, why, because we did so well. We did so well. All we could do is just be proud, But like you said, anyone saw it coming. Black, white, yellow, Asian, we all saw that it was coming, regardless. But if we were to flip it around and we won, it would have been a different story.
Very different.
They would have been praised. There wouldn't be any of this sort of racism, none of that. Backlash, the boys would have been praised like there's no tomorrow. But it is what it is. Like we say, we leave it in the hands of God. And he will do the rest.
But you know what? Exercise change in our communities the way that we can. Yeah,
that's it. We're gonna switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's switch it up.
Right. So I need to know your top 3 gospel artists.
Wow.
That has inspired you to do what you're good at. Top 3 gospel artists.
Okay, number 1. This is in no particular order, but there's the ones that come to mind. I would say, this is difficult. Oh, okay, Mary. Because that duo, they are incredible. Those sisters, they really helped, I think, merge 2 worlds of gospel and also the R&B scene. Seeing, their song Shackles hitting the Billboard charts and the charts in general. We even now to this day, when you go to the clubs, like occasionally you just like, you know, if people are still, I don't know, I've not been to club in a while, but I'm saying that like in the bars and stuff, like you will still hear Shackles being played. You know, they penetrated mainstream media. You know, they have done what many gospel artists or other Christian artists have tried to do, but they did it, you know. And this their sound and their blend, they really were big inspirations for me. You know, whenever I go to America as a kid, I would always leave with a new Mary Mary album. Like honestly, no one would know. I'd have to go to actual store, like, you know, an HMV store, whatever, and I'd always leave with a hard copy Mary Mary album. Because they are just so inspirational. Their whole team, their producers, everyone around them, amazing. I would say a UK gospel artist who I wouldn't be where I am today with is without is Called Out Music, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I still remember Called Out live in London. I believe, was it 2017 or 2018? One of those years. It might have been 2017, I can't remember. One of those years, however, like, because I remember seeing him, called Samuel, seeing Sam, and we have mutual friends, and I was just like, and this guy, his event sold out, by the way, like it was packed, it was full.
I love his music.
I love his music. He's amazing. He's an amazing songwriter, artist, producer, singer, all of it. And I said, if Sam can do it, I can do it.
Yay!
It was, we're the same age, you know. Like, wow. I think I might be a few days older than him or whatever, you know.
Wow.
But like seeing him do what, I was like, if Sam can do it, I can do it. And that's what we need. That's what we need in our communities, to see people go before us and be like, if they can do it, I can do it, you know.
Amen.
It made the dream realistic. It made it real for me. It made it a reality. And then last but definitely not least is Uncle Kirk Franklin, because he is an innovator. He is so inspiring. His music has been so relevant through the ages, you know, from the older generation, like my mum and my aunties and uncles, they love Kirk Franklin. And to even the new Gen Zs, I'm pretty sure if he was to release a song, a TikTok would come out, you know.
Of course.
He is so relevant, you know, across all age groups. He makes music for every single body, and his music is just timeless.
Yeah, I remember listening to him when I was so young. I was like, oh my god, and then he's still around. I'm like,
he's still around. Like, yeah, I think his song Love Theory like just went like platinum or like triple or double platinum, something like that. And he made made a post being like, you know, I know that my older songs are kind of like my most popular. People are drawn to my older songs, but the fact that I can still, you know, make music and it's still blessing people, like it amazes me, because I make music for God. And that was just such a beautiful post, you know, just seeing him kind of write that. And I was like, it's true, like we, like at the end of the day, like everything that we do is for God, man. It may please man, the man that we're trying to please is God, really. So
yes, that's it. Yeah. That's our priority right there.
This is it.
Right, now I want to know your top 3 songs that you have been listening to 24/7 during the pandemic, even out of the pandemic. Like, I need to know your top 3.
Okay, number 1 would be In Theory by a lovely lady called Grace Tenner. She is an incredible, a new up-and-coming UK Christian artist. She's incredible. Check her out. In Theory is, for me, song of the year. It's just amazing. I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to think what else have I had on repeat. Oh my goodness.
So we've got In Theory.
Yeah, we've got In Theory. Oh, I would say as well another one. Okay, Mark Asari as well. He released an album, EP, called By Your Grace, and his song Creme de la Creme featuring T Supreme. That's a banger as well. It's like that Afro swing like vibe. So I like vibey music. So I would say that's kept me going. And then what's another song? Oh my goodness.
One more.
You know what? Okay, I will say Maverick City Promises. I'm currently on a pause with Maverick City because I can't keep up. They release a new album every week, and I'm like, Maverick. I said, Maverick, I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying, but you guys are really bringing out songs. but I have to mention, Maverick City Promises, because that's a beautiful song. Joel Barnes, Naomi Rain. Oh, beautiful.
It's amazing. One of my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah.
Promises,
but they're releasing music like no tomorrow, so I can't keep up. I can't keep up right now. I'm on a hiatus because it's a lot, but they're doing amazing things for the kingdom, so they should keep going.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your latest track. Okay, you told me about your 3 artists. You told me about your top 3 gospel song. Now I want to know about Psalm 91.
That's right.
Yeah! Talk to me a bit about that.
Psalm 91 was written by myself and my friend Kezia, who she's also an artist, and essentially it was written at, I would say, the height of the pandemic in around April time, because I actually was reading Psalm 91 a lot, because let's be honest, there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear in our hearts. There was a lot of fear in my heart. There was this coronavirus that we didn't really know much about, We thought it was happening in other countries, and now it's at our doorstep. We're having to self-isolate. We're having to be indoors. We're locked down as a nation. Our homes, everything we know was just shut down. And so I literally would read the scripture almost every single day. Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty.
Wow.
And it just kept me going. But then one day, a melody just came to my head, and I wrote the song. But I felt like I needed a bit of help, so I called my friend Kezia, and she helped me finish the rest of the song, like the bridge and the ending. And it literally was just a passage of scripture that just sustained me in a period of my life that was filled with so much fear. But I knew that I had to remember that God's promises are our armor and shield. It's my armor and shield. It's the greatest protection that I could ever have, against any virus, any disease. But I think it was bigger than just kind of like not getting COVID. It was more about, it was protection against fear. Because fear was every day. I felt like fear was knocking on my doorstep. It was knocking on my door, just trying to live and take reign in my heart. This fear, the unknown, doubt, all of it. But I said no, like, God, I trust in your word, and that's how that song came to be. And the amazing Callie Bluebird, an American singer who's just insane vocally. I heard her music and I was just like, I need her on the song. I need her, and that's also the beauty of this pandemic was me learning also how to kind of collaborate with more artists remotely. I've been doing it before, but it was more, again, it was a privilege to be able to work with her remotely and work with my producer Andre Fisher remotely as well. And and people they've loved it. It's just taken off,
Right, so guys, we're gonna introduce Psalm 91 by the one and only
Sharyn, featuring Callie Bluebird. Woo!
Right, so guys, just stick around and listen to the music.
Woo! Okay, I'm feeling this. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, you're my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Ooh, He will rescue you from every trap, protecting you from deadly disease. Ooh, He will shelter you with His wings. Don't you know He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God, and His promises are your armor and shield. He's a faithful God, faithful faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say to the Lord, you're my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Oh yes, I do. Oh, He will rescue you from every trap, protecting you from deadly disease. Ooh, He will shelter you within His wings. Don't you know He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. You fear the arrows by day or the terror by night. Don't you fear diseases and darkness, disasters that strike. And though thousands fall at your side, thousands are at your right hand, they will not come near you. Open your eyes, set Him on high, 'cause He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. He's a faithful God, faithful God, faithful God. And His promises are your armor and shield. Yeah. You will trample on the beast, crush them underneath your feet. When I call, He promises He will answer me. You will trample on the beast, crush them underneath your feet. When I call, He promises He will answer me. He said He will answer me. He said He will answer me. 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 Answer me.
Wow. He is a faithful God.
He is.
That song is amazing. Now, tell me, what are we expecting from you in the next 6 months, let's say 3 months, a year? What are we expecting?
Yes, we're working on some content like towards the album, so stay tuned. We're gonna continue to push it. We've got some hopefully some sort of visuals or live content. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working towards. And yeah, just more and more new music. Yeah.
So are we expecting a video as well?
We just have to wait and see.
Hey. I can't wait to see what you've got coming up in the next 3 months or a year. God knows. But you know what? Where can our listeners find your music, find yourself, can you tell us where they can catch you?
Yes, they can find me at my handle at Sharyn Official on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My music is on all streaming platforms, so Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, Deezer, and SoundCloud as well, YouTube. It's all there. YouTube, I always have some behind the scenes footage and some extra vlogs as well there on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
So again, at Sharyn Official. So,
Right, Sharyn, it's been a pleasure having you at Fresh Music Flavor. Hopefully we'll see you very soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries, we'll see you soon.